climb up these fruit trees and gather the fruit. There are sometimes easier jobs. Maybe you're working in an office or working in a house, but a lot of it was just hard labor. And if they ever slowed down, there was always the threat of violence, right? And so, these communism and fascism are on opposite ends, and they're both very extreme, but both utilize violence, both have a lot of government influence and control and intervention as well, right? We don't need to get into the more advanced stuff right now, but the other two you want to focus on are kind of liberalism, which is more towards the left. Okay, and this is not to be confused with, the Liberal Party, Justin Trudeau. Liberalism is very similar to what we discussed before. It's progressive. It's making progress, right? So maybe it challenges the status quo, the way things are. Right? So asking the question of, well, why are we doing things this way? Why don't we do them that way? Right? So liberalism you can also think of as new ideas, new ways of being. So you can write that down as well in your notes. Whereas conservatism is kind of the opposite. It's asking the question, well, why are we abandoning tradition? Why change? We should keep things the same because that's how our parents did them, our grandparents, and that's what's kept us safe and secure, and it's worked. Okay. So those are the four kind of main ones you want to focus on. Obviously, we still have moderate, and that's, hopefully you understand that just in the word. Moderates are people who are in the middle, but they're not too much left, not too much right. Okay, we'll move on. Again, this is all in your notes. This will be on the Google Classroom. A couple of you are still not signed up for that, so make sure you get in there. And this just adds some more details, but again, for the left side of the spectrum, you can write down, favors equality, government involvement, social services, okay. And as already mentioned, new ideas. The right favors tradition. It favors less government, lower taxes, keeping things the way they are. Okay. So just focus on those main points there. So, not always, but you will see as you progress. Your question? Do you have enough space to just go that way? You can make it up that way. So eventually you will see these diagrams. They talk about both politics and economics, and you'll see a graph, like kind of a 4-square graph, but we don't really need to deal with that right now. Okay. And usually all of these images will have a legend. They'll kind of tell you where things are. And when we get there, we'll address that more so. Okay. So, discussion question. Which of these do you think is better and why? Okay. A, lower taxes and fewer government services, or B, higher taxes and more government services. Anyone want to share? A. Okay, so you would prefer less taxes, so you get more of your paycheck, but you also have less government services. So maybe you need to have private health care insurance and maybe pay for toll roads for highways because a private company builds them. Do you agree with that? More so?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to share why?
Because I like giving the money.
Fair enough, right? It's not unreasonable. Maybe B. Okay, so more taxes, more government services. Okay, so you get less of your paycheck, but maybe the government does more for the citizens. Okay. How come?
I don't know, just like free healthcare and stuff. I think that's really helpful. I guess more government services would also be nice. And also, my dad doesn't really pay taxes because he works on reserve.
Okay. Okay. That's interesting. Okay. Yeah, and healthcare is very nice. I wouldn't say it's free. We pay for through taxes. So it is nice. Like if something happens to you, it's good to know that there's a safety net, that you can go somewhere and maybe see some treatment, even though, as we discussed in Block A, maybe it takes you several hours to see someone, and I'll tell a different story after, but
B.
B. Okay, how come?
The government's gonna pay for schools instead of you.
So we're kind of focused on getting free stuff. Free, right? Okay. It's very different from the morning class. They were more focused on A. Yeah. Anyone else?
I mean, like, having free healthcare and waiting longer seems like a better thing than paying like over $1,000 for like something simple, like just like a nose infection or something.
This is true, right? So how much you have to pay depends on your insurance company and how, let's say, honest they are, right? I mean, I feel like it's extreme stories, I hope, but sometimes you hear very sketchy stories about insurance companies in America not paying the person.
It's not over the top, it's actually real.
No, I hope that the stories we hear are more of the extreme ones, rather. Like, you would hope that most people have decent coverage and their service providers are good,
No,
but
you have to pay like over $1,000 out of pocket for just like just for going to the doctor itself.
Mhm.
So
Okay. Okay. So it can be expensive. Did you have your hand up as well?
Yeah, B.
B. How come?
I mean, like, you probably get most of your money, but it'll be more for the citizens. And, like, free healthcare.
Mhm. Okay, so I have a dilemma to present those of you selected B. What if the government decides that you're not qualified for that service now? For an arbitrary reason, so they just make a decision one day. Hey, even though you've been paying taxes and you're working, because of X, Y, Z, you no longer have access to this service. So do you want me to give you a concrete example? Okay, so just a couple years ago, we were going through the COVID pandemic. And for many people who chose not to vaccinate, what happened? They couldn't go anywhere, right?
Did they get paid to get the vaccine though?
Some people took money to get the vaccine. I think that's very sketchy. The government gave out incentives. There's actually a really funny video of some American governor giving a press conference.
I saw that.
The burger one?
Yeah.
The governor, he's standing there, he's telling people to get vaccinated, and he goes, wait, hold on, wait a minute. You're telling me there's a burger situation here? There's a free burger involved? And then they bring a burger from off screen. I'll show the video later, but so in that situation, you know, the government decided that if you don't do this thing, then you don't get access to this stuff. So historically, like like you said, your dad works on a reserve. Well, for indigenous people, the government decided, okay, like you want to keep your Indian status, then you don't get to do this stuff.
First Nation.
Indian?
First Nation.
Well, they call it Indian status. Right? Like that's kind of how it worked. If you lost your status, you didn't get access to your treaty rights.
It's kind of complicated.
Yeah, it's very complicated, right? You have your hand up. Thank you for waiting.
Two things. First, which one would you pick?
Let's see. What would I pick? Let's go with B. Why not? Pay a little bit more taxes, but maybe you get free access to the rec center. Maybe you get, better roads, better healthcare treatment. I don't know. Why not? It's all free.
Okay, and second thing, can I go to the bathroom? I'm bleeding.
Yes, you may. Do you need a Band-Aid?
Call me.
Okay, do you want one from me or do you want to just get one from the office?
I'll grab one from the office.
Okay. Well, all over your hand. That's not good. Where'd she go? She's still not back. She didn't fall into the toilet, did she?
Why is everybody picking B?
Oh, well, I'll be honest, kids. I
A is
picked
the obvious answer.
I picked A in the morning.
You-
I
you
figured
can-
B for the
you can
afternoon.
Walk for free. You don't need good roads.
You know what? There was some winter storms last year and some speeding tickets that I got hit with, and I considered buying a horse.
See? I don't think it has to do with.
No, in the morning class I chose the answer A.
Now you feel different about it?
No, it's just curious to see how you kids would respond. So my answer for A was I much prefer having freedom of choice and options. Okay, so I would rather keep more of my money that I earn because I know how to spend it better than the government does, particularly for myself. I would rather have the responsibility, the individual responsibility to take care of myself and potentially access for, let's say, private treatments as well. But I understand that it's complicated as well, right? Like you have to do a lot of research. You know, you can kind of get screwed over if there's a company that's being malicious. You know, I think both systems work. Like there are countries with high taxes, they're still capitalist. They have high taxes, a lot of the people have many government services, and life is good there as well as it is here, right? Sweden, right? But from what I've learned, Sweden still has a lot of capitalism in it, right? Like they're still a very wealthy country and they sell a lot of natural resources. But yeah, people pay a lot of taxes and they get a lot of services. Yes.
Well, I'd rather not pay thousands of dollars for healthcare for something that isn't my fault. Like people can just develop these things. It's not their fault. They have to pay thousands and thousands of dollars for it.
Right, and I won't sit here and say that, you know, tragedy can occur, right? Like cancer can just happen, right? You can just get into a car crash. Geez, you can have an accident, you can slip and fall and break a leg or ankle or hip, right? And so it's very complicated which one to pick, right?
We're just picking, I'm adding on to what Cameron said, we're just like picking up like a box of Kleenex, I don't wanna have to pay for that.
Will you say that
We're
again?
having